Hey folks, welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Mason. You might hear it a little bit different today. I got some kids in the background. My wife's in the background. Yep, there he is. And I had an intro recorded for this episode, but I accidentally deleted it. And I'm getting ready to leave on my own adventure. And I don't have time to go back to my studio. So I am recording this in the living room with kids. Because I'm about to go on this amazing journey. And I'm going to tell you all about it when I get back. And it's an awesome opportunity. I'll tell you all about the company and what I did and where we went. I'm out on that trip as we speak, as you're hearing this. And so today's episode is actually an episode from my other show, Without Compromise with Athletic Brewing, talking about Saveria Tilden's company, AdventurUs Women. And what's awesome is Saveria had that full-time career taking people outdoors. It was like dream job. And then the rug was pulled out from under when the program ended. So what do you do? We always talk about people who get to that point of a dream job. We never talk about the people who got there. It was pulled from them, and then they got to figure out how to get it back. And so Saveria said, you know what? I loved this so much. I'm going to do it myself. So in the fall of 2019, great time to start a business, as we all know, she started AdventurUs Women. And it was the whole goal was to take women outdoors and get them more competent and skills in the outdoors, have amazing experiences. 2020 hits, tons of turbulence, as you can imagine, especially for in-person events like this and adventures that often take travel and airlines and whatnot. So we're going to hear this whole story, how she got it started. I know there's a lot of y'all out there that probably want to start something like this or start a business around this kind of stuff. And you're going to learn a lot from Saveria and the lessons she's learned so far. You can learn more about what she does at AdventurUs, and that is adventure without the E, so AdventurUs women.com. And she was a recipient of a program Athletic Brewing supported called Ladies Who Launch. So learn more about all that in the show notes. And one more thing I wanted to mention too is Saveria and I serve on the board together at American Hiking Society. I'm new to the board. Saveria's been there a while, so I'm learning the ropes from her. And so if you want to learn more about her and what she does, like I said before, adventuruswomen.com, life-changing experiences for women outdoors, all kinds of cool stuff. Check out their Instagram page, all that, everything you need to know, linked in the show notes. So let's go ahead and dive in. Hey folks, welcome to the podcast. You heard a little of Saveria Tilden's story in the intro, but now we got you on. Saveria, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, Mason.
Awesome. So where is home for you? Where are you coming from?
I am based in Bend, Oregon.
Did you grow up there?
I did not. So I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, but I just recently moved back to the Northwest about a year ago and landed in Bend.
Folks heard the things you're into and the things you're doing now in the intro, but where was like the foundation of all this? What kind of, if you're open to it, what kind of family did you grow up into? What kind of things did your parents or your guardians like encourage you to do? What were you doing at that time?
Yeah, so it's funny. For somebody whose now entire career in life is sort of based on outdoorsy things and being outdoorsy, it's definitely a later in life story. So we moved from Southern California up to Washington when I was about 10. And that move allowed us the ability to live outdoors, right? It was the classic, come back before dark. And in summer in the Northwest, that's like 10 o'clock. So we'd come back, have dinner and go out and play. And my brother and I wanted to go camping. And my mom was like, oh, absolutely. I support this, and bought us, the Snoopy sleeping bags and the tent from Big Five and put us in the backyard and said, have a great time. And so growing up, we were outdoors a lot, but it was more team sports. I played soccer, I rode horses, was a 4-H nerd, all those things. But so we kind of lived an outdoor life, but I wouldn't say I was outdoorsy. And so that didn't happen until much later in life. But I'll just say much later in life.
When did that hit you, or what? Can you take us back to a specific experience or just a time when that you started to make that realization?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So as I said, I was kind of I was a cyclist. I did triathlons. I did Ironman. So I was definitely like a athlete, like sport. I guess triathlons aren't really a team sport, but more organized sports, I should say. And I was working for a marketing company. I fell into a dream job that was doing park visitor welcome maps for state park systems all around the US. And so again, no outdoors background, started producing, park visitor welcome maps and working with all of these park systems and sort of realizing that there's this whole thing called an outdoor industry. And there's this whole world out there that's centered around camping and hiking and, backpacking and all these outdoor things. So I was doing it professionally, and one of my coworkers knew that I had grown up in Washington, and he was more of an outdoorsy person. And he said, you know what, we should climb Mount Rainier. And I was like, cool. He's like, oh, you've done Ironmans, you'll be fine. No big deal. And I'm like, cool. Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it. Mount Rainier. Like, that sounds awesome. I grew up, like, she's my mountain, I grew up, looking at Mount Tahoma, like
all your life. It's like, it's just always there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just always there. Well, I shouldn't say it's always there. It is the Northwest. It is Seattle. So when the blue sky's out, it's there. There's a lot of times where it's not there. Yeah. And I was, and it was funny because I was doing ambassador programs with, outdoor athletes and stuff like that. And so I was kind of professionally being introduced into the outdoors through a work perspective. And then my friend wanted me to do Mount Rainier. And so he and I went on, and at the time I was still training for triathlons, and he and I went on a snowshoe, and it was my first snowshoe ever, ironically, in the mountains of Southern California. And it was this fresh powder day. It had just dumped like 2 feet of snow the night before. And it was like that, that watershed moment where you're like, what is this magical experience that I'm having? And we're hiking up this mountain and it's snow, and I'm with my friend and his girlfriend. And I have this moment where I'm like, this is amazing. If anything happened to these two people, I would be dead. Like, I literally will just die in the snow because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm supposed to be climbing this mountain, in the snow. I might need to get some experience. So another friend of mine heard me saying I was doing Mount Rainier, and they were in the triathlon world, and they started talking about this wilderness travel course that the Sierra Club puts on in Los Angeles. And it's a 10-week course that basically meets one night a week, and then for 10 weeks, and you have 4 outings, and they include a hike in the local mountains, rock scrambling, desert navigation, weekend at Joshua Tree, a snowshoe trip, and then a snow camp. So you go to the Sierra and you camp for 2 nights, 3 days, snow camping. So my first time backpacking ever was snow camping in the Sierra, where I was like, I may or may not die, but my guess is they wouldn't be hosting this class if people were dying every year. So I'll probably survive it somehow. And that whole experience just changed my life forever. And I never looked back. I sort of joked that I was introduced to the outdoors through that, and I jumped in with both feet and haven't looked back.
It was an unforeseen fork in the road. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like a lot of them are, but not a one that was forced out of, bad decisions or a tragedy of some sort. This was like a happy thing, a good thing, a fork in the road you didn't necessarily have to take, if that makes sense. And I'm always interested in those forks that you take that aren't forced upon you. Like a lot of times we hear people's stories go. How did you go about jumping 2 feet? What did jumping 2 feet in look like to you at that time?
So I think, you mentioned the fork thing. So I think the interesting fork in this experience was that I had signed up to do the course with my partner at the time, and then they couldn't do the course because of work. So I had to do it by myself. So I had gone into this thinking I was going to have my adventure buddy and we were going to learn all these things together. And then all of a sudden I was flying solo, and I was like, sorry, I didn't know if you want to swear. Shoot. I have to figure all this stuff out on my own. Like, I have to be self-sufficient. Like, I can't rely on this other person learning all these things. And so that was an interesting fork, because I think for me, the course was so much more impactful in a way because I had to do all these things on my own. And so that was an interesting thing for me.
Which is a common thing, I feel like, in the outdoor setting, planning adventures with friends. So many people, they're standing all alone by the time the launch day happens, or they're starting the through hike or whatever it is, and you got to be self-sufficient really quickly, which is important.
Absolutely,
it's important to be able to do out there.
Yeah, and the thing is, and on the flip side of that, it's great to have adventure buddies. It's great to have adventure partners. It's great to share the load emotionally and figuratively and all the things planning wise. To do it, but it's also nice to know if something happens, you're okay, right? So being able to walk into a situation knowing that you have the skills. So took that class, it changed my life. I basically came back, and I have a background of education as well. And so I came back, and it's a volunteer program. So everybody who teaches this course and volunteers. So I came back the next year as a volunteer to help to become on staff and to learn how to teach it, and ultimately ended up leading my own group. So when I say like jump in with both feet, that was that moment of like, oh, I think I just didn't realize sort of the power of the outdoors beyond being outside, like the mountains, the Sierra, like being able to travel with everything on your back and be okay. And so, yeah, so I started teaching that class, and part of my journey. So I was still doing marketing and still doing my professional life and still working in the outdoor industry, but also started working for REI as an outdoor school guide, and started teaching for them. And yeah.
I heard you say in another interview, you've had a lot of career changes. And a lot of different, from film to leading adventures. But before that, all
dolphin trainer, all the things.
Trainer
Mason.
was one. Okay, that's funny. I don't know how to take this, but I could totally see that. Like I could hear your voice coming through like the mic and wearing the wetsuit and be like, all right, now they're going to do this for us. And so I could totally see that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So when did this, I don't know, this newfound passion and whatnot grow to the point that you started moving towards it with your career? Was it fits and starts? Was it all at once? Like how did that look for you?
Yeah. So I think for me, like I said, I got into marketing as I was in a marketing job, which introduced me to the outdoor industry, really wanting to make sure that my passion for the outdoors and also getting other people outdoors. Cause that was something I realized early on was my passion about the outdoors, is getting kind of demystifying the outdoors. And I think it's because I came at it so late in life that I realized, oh, like it doesn't matter how old you are, you can enter the outdoors. There's so many benefits just personally, emotionally, all the things of being outdoors and having these experiences, that I really was drawn to that piece of it. So I wanted to work with companies that were, encouraging people to get outdoors. I wanted to work with companies that were encouraging, all walks of life to get outdoors and sort of taking down barriers for getting outdoors. And that was something always that was really important to me. And so, I started doing that still from sort of the marketing professional side and then the guiding side. And then got involved with REI right around when they were so I was guiding for them. And then they had a big event series called Outessa, which was this amazing all women's festival, multi-sport weekends that brought women again out to the outdoors, let them try all these things. And I did that for a couple of years, and that was definitely transformative, both personally and professionally, just to see the impact that the all women space could have on people. So when things are women led, when your new adventure buddies are all women, and just sort of seeing the power of women led spaces and women supporting other women, and the power of that was really inspirational, empowering, impactful, all the things. And it was what inspired AdventurUs Women.
How quickly did you recognize that need in the outdoor industry, that there's just not a lot of representation from women, people of color? Once you got introduced, how quickly did you start to realize? Was it immediate? Let's take a quick message break and hear from the folks that help make this show possible. One of my favorite things to do is explore, and if I can do that on a bike, even better. Whether I'm at work, stationed somewhere, or at home wanting to get to know my area a little more, or on vacation, if I can get out on a bike and see where I'm at, I absolutely love that. And what's even cooler is using an electric e-bike from Electric E-Bikes to do that, because it makes it even more accessible, more fun, and you can carry so much more and do so much more with it. I was a doubter of e-bikes when they first came out, but call me a convert, because I tried the new electric e-bike Cargo Expedition, and it's their cargo version of the e-bike, and it is amazing because I can have my kids ride on the back. There's all these accessories, and it can carry like hundreds of pounds plus me. It is amazing. And it has all these settings on it too, where it can be a total pedal assist, or you can just pedal it like you would any other bike. And they have all sorts of ways to make it affordable with monthly payments. Has a removable battery, has a place that you can put an extra battery and go twice as far. And I've gotten it up to almost 30 miles an hour pretty easily. And they ship free right to your front door, and that's what happened with me. So it was awesome. So if you want to try one, start your adventure with electric e-bikes for a spring sale, visit electricebikes.com to learn more and explore the new Expedition Cargo e-bike and all the other models that they have. That's electric without the E, so electric, Lectric, ebikes.com. Go check it out.
So, how does it feel when you play Roll Up to Win with Tim Hortons? Buy a hot or cold beverage using the Tim's app and find out. Roll in the app for a chance to win prizes ranging from free coffee and donuts to a Universal Orlando resort vacation or a sweet car. Oh, don't forget the TV. And this year, every roll is a shot at a $1,000 daily giveaway drawing for two $500 prizes. Roll up to win and get treated by Tim's. No purchase necessary. Account registration required. 50 U.S. and D.C. 18 plus entered by 4/2/23. See rules at rolluptowin.com for free entry and full details. Void in Florida and where prohibited.
HelloFresh takes the hassle out of mealtime by delivering pre-portioned ingredients and easy-to-prepare recipes right to your door. You can skip the checkout lines and get outside in the warmer weather as spring is coming because HelloFresh has dinner covered. April is also Earth Month, and HelloFresh is always committed to a cleaner planet. On average, HelloFresh meals have about a 31% lower carbon footprint than same meals made from supermarket ingredients. Plus, nearly all of HelloFresh's packaging materials are curbside, recyclable in most of the U.S. I'm personally a big fan of HelloFresh, and you can also gift it. That's something I like to do, is gifting the meals to people who are maybe have someone in the hospital or just had a baby, something like that, where you're not just sending them already made food that, you know, maybe they don't like or they don't want, but it's very easy to make meals, fresh ingredients, and they can kind of make it on their own terms, make it when they're ready to eat, but isn't too much of a lift in the kitchen. So I think it's a great gift idea too, and that's actually what I've used it for in the past. If you want to try some of their ready-to-go fresh meals, you can learn more by going to hellofresh.com/ASP50 for Adventure Sports Podcast and use the code ASP50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, that's ASP50 at hellofresh.com/ASP50 for 50% off plus free shipping. So give it a shot now. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. That is plenty of that for now. Let's get back into the episode.
Yeah, I would say it was pretty immediate. Even it's interesting because I've been in the outdoor industry long enough that I've been there when nobody was talking about it, and it just wasn't even a thing, to see where people are like, wait, the outdoors aren't inclusive, and we need to start making them more inclusive. And, I saw the rise of outdoor Afro and Latino outdoors and the need for these amazing organizations, and the fact that there was this space that affinity spaces were needed. And so I think there's still so much work to do, but I think it's been an interesting journey being a part of the outdoor industry, watching it go from where it wasn't even a conversation that people were having to now being something that people are recognizing, creating space for, and actively working towards making the outdoors more inclusive.
And I know when starting Adventurous, it came after when REI ended a program, and you had maybe seen like how awesome it could be, and you were like, I got to keep this thing going.
Yes, that is exactly correct. So we were working on Outessa, which was those big, 400 women on a mountaintop, ski resort festival program.
Like a takeover.
Yeah, total takeover. Five semi trucks showing up to build the village. It was amazing. It was energy in the weekends. And I used to joke that I was never so fulfilled after those weekends and so exhausted. Like, it was this weird thing of, I have zero brain cells left because I'm so tired. But just watching what, the team created for these women, and then talking to the women who were there and hearing their stories about why they showed up, why it was important, what they were getting out of it. It was, like I said, it was perfect. It was personally and professionally the most impactful experience in my life. And then when they sunsetted that program, I was left sort of going, what now? Wait, I've just literally been experiencing my dream for the last 2 years. Like, what now? So I decided to sort of carry the torch in some smaller way with Adventurous Women, and really put together women-led teams and seek out areas where you could find you'd be surprised. It's actually really hard to find a place that provides a whole bunch of outdoor recreation opportunities that have enough women guides to support an event. And when you come in and say like, no, do you have women guides? Are you a women-owned business? Well, we have great guides. And I was like, yeah, but we want women to teach our classes. And Bend has been actually one of the best places for that. But in other places, it was really hard. I literally had people tell me, well, we're not planning on hiring any women this summer. And I just was like, but what if you did? Yeah. What if you did hire one of your paddle guides to be a woman,
Did people ever say that it was the lack of applications that they were limited to that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, I think there just was always some sort of excuse or, oh, well, we just, we have the same crew that we've had for 10 years. They guide, they guide for us every year. So that's sort of again, there's that no space, right, to let new people in. So I think it was probably more that than anything else. And it's a tough go if you're breaking into the outdoor industry, especially as a guide from an underrepresented community, because it's lonely and there's bias. And I feel when you create those opportunities, they're just as impactful for the women guiding and teaching as they are for the participants who are showing up to be together in that space. We did our first Women in Whitewater trip last spring in Oregon. And again, one of the things that we sort of requested was we want an all women guide team on the river. Like from whoever is managing camp to the lead guide, we want an all women guide team. So we were there and we had 24 participants. I think we had 5 or 6 river guides. Some of them were, 4 or 5 years into their career. Some of them were 20 years into their career. And this was for all of them, the first time in their guiding rafting careers that they had an all women team. And they were just like, this is awesome. And so it was fun for me to say like, okay, so the other trip leader and I kind of put our foot down and said like, this is what we want. Like, we want an all women team. To the guide company's credit, they're like, yeah, this is awesome. They provided us that team. They made it work. And then to see how impactful it was, not only for the women on the trip to see all of these women in charge, all of these women running the river, all of these women, handling camp, but also for those guides to be like, yeah, we got this. We're going to go scout the rapids and we're going to make the right decisions for you. And yeah, we got this. Like all of our voices are going to be heard. It was pretty great.
Can you illustrate through a story the impact that either those experiences with REI were on you and some of the attendees, the folks that went, the women that went, or maybe a moment that you realize I have to do something about this problem that I see, about this issue, because this show is all about like where do folks start taking action, and I can imagine you can share a story about how the fulfillment of those experiences. You said you've never been as fulfilled as those, but also more exhausted. Can you illustrate that through a story?
One of the things that women are surprised about by coming to our events and our escapes is that I think as women, we've been raised to be competitive, right? There's this competitive with each other. You're always competing for something. And so there's a lot of women who are really nervous about showing up. And so I was just on a call earlier with somebody and I was saying 60 to 70% of the women come to our events by themselves. They show up solo, not knowing anybody. And there's this fear of, am I going to be fit enough? Am I going to be, young enough? Am I going to have a friend at the campfire? There's all of these junior high insecurities that are sort of hiding underneath the surface, but you really want to do this thing. Like you really want to go try the outdoor thing. You may not have friends at home who are interested. Your partner may not get this side of you that wants to go try the adventure. And so they put themselves out there and they show up and they become vulnerable and they say, I'm going to sign up and I'm going to come to this thing. And it's super scary because they don't know if they're going to have fun. They're trusting us that we've got them, in this environment. And I will have conversations with women who will call me or email me beforehand and just say, I really want to sign up, but I'm nervous for X, Y, or Z reason. I said, we got you. Come, but I've never tried this before. I don't have the experience, or I'm older, or, the list, there's like a million different reasons. And they show up and they realize that they are enough. And that, one of the things that we find really often is that even though we're different ages and we come from different walks of life and there's all of these differences. We're all there because we want to be outdoors and we want to adventure and we want to try these things. And instead of having catty, clicky circles, all of a sudden you have 20 other cheerleaders who are helping you get up that rock climb, right? Who are, cheering you on and like screaming at you like you got it, and like are supporting you and are there next to you when you're trying mountain biking for the first time and you're scared to go over the your first drop and you do it or whatever it is. And so I think that surprises women. I think women are honestly surprised about the level of support that is at these events, and that there's this commonality that the outdoors brings us all together. There's like something special about kind of putting ourselves outside of our comfort zones, being vulnerable with other people, that creates a bonding that happens. And people leave filled with community and connection. And especially post-pandemic, I feel like we've all sort of gotten used to, our worlds have gotten much smaller, between the pandemic and even now that we're not, isolating and these things. I think people still are like, oh, I'm kind of comfortable in my smaller world. It's kind of nice over here. It's safe. It feels very safe. I don't have to put myself out there. And I think there's something to be said for when you do put yourself out there and you get so much in return, like how great that is.
I want to know kind of the launch of AdventurUs, because I know the timing was interesting right before the pandemic. You're part of that really fascinating group of people that launched something new right before the world changed, where you're already taking a leap of faith. You're already stepping out and doing something, getting out of your comfort zone. And this whole thing happens. It pretty much shuts that down. Take us through how you got this thing going and maybe some of those first experiences once you were able to have those experiences.
Yeah. So 2019, it was interesting because the other program had ended and the new year started. And I had started, it was a coaching program called The Great Big Journey with Steph Jagger. I was kind of feeling a little lost and I signed up for her Great Big Journey program. And part of it is you're supposed to focus on like the why and like what keeps you going. And I just was living my why. Like I just had it. It was so close. It was in the palm of my hand. I was living my why. I was getting women outdoors. I was empowering women.
Working
with amazing women. Yeah, working at REI. Like it was everything. And then that went away. And I was like, I think I sort of saw the light of like what I wanted. And it felt like it was all of my worlds, all the random careers that I had done, Mason, right? All of these different things were kind of coming together into one, whether it was the marketing background, the education piece, the outdoors piece, like all of these things were sort of pointing to this. I had for a little while had a blog, the AdventurUs was a blog. I used to joke that there's adventure in all of us, which is why it's spelled the way it is, RUS, because there's adventure in all of us. I believe that. And the girl next door in the sense that like, you're not going to say like, oh, that person climbed Mount Rainier, or oh, that person did 3 Ironmans, but like, I did it. Yeah. And so there's like, I think there's adventure of all of us. And seeing these environments and realizing if you have the right support network, if you have the right environment to push yourself, you can discover what adventure means to you. And so that all came together. I don't remember how we got connected, but I got connected with 2 amazing women at lodge camps, Ashley Austin and Kristen, I cannot remember her last name right now, but we got connected and they said, why don't, and I said, I have this idea to do these events. And they're like, you should do it at our properties, because lodge camps had just started. Yep. So that was where that connection started. So like everything sort of started falling into place as far as I have this idea, I have this dream. Oh, okay. Now I have a location. Oh, okay. Now I have, the framework. I had already been teaching and guiding for a while, so I knew, programming. I had a marketing background, so that was helpful. So like, all of these things fell into place so that we hosted our 2 events the fall of 2019. So, we launched a group travel-based, destination-focused business in the fall of 2019. Ba-dum-bum.
I love it. And I know that, folks have heard these stories of people launching, businesses at bad times. But when you look at history, on paper, the times that it doesn't make sense to start something new is oftentimes exactly when a lot of the household names we know now got started.
Yeah, somebody just shared that with me the other day. They were like, some of the most successful businesses were, launched in times of adversity and all these things. And I was like, well, then there's great hope for me.
There's great hope. Don't
that
quote
I am
me
going to
on
be
this.
incredibly successful.
That idea that you just mentioned of having your dream job and then it being taken away. I don't feel like I've ever explored that on a podcast where it's like, everyone's getting to that point. You know what I mean? We're getting to where all cylinders are firing, all our strengths are being used, we're fulfilled. That I've never actually explored what's beyond that when it actually gets taken away. And that's a really interesting idea. I don't know if you would describe it with your story as getting back to that point or getting what you had there, but on a deeper level or on a bigger level through Adventurous.
Yeah, I mean, I think you lose your mind and you decide to start your own business and become an entrepreneur. The trauma of losing your dream job results in
causes you to make another a bad decision. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the best decision. No, I think I would say I think being able to experience being so deeply fulfilled in something work-wise, like where the team that I worked with are amazing, still friends. The women that I met along the way, just all of that. Being so fulfilled, I really do think gave me the strength and the ability to then follow my heart, and know, because having seen
you got a taste of
something that was working. Yeah, I got a taste of it. And said, and also just knowing, for me, it was watching the impact it had on the women's lives who attended. That was a big piece of it too, right? So I'm being fulfilled, but then also having conversations with women who are there, who are so fulfilled, and learning all the things and realizing how important it was to create this space. And for me, it was really important to create a space that was inclusive and diverse and show that and this was pre-pandemic, really show a space where all women could come together again, crossing the spectrums, and all have an amazing time and learn from each other and support each other and be there for each other.
So when you started Adventurous, has it changed from what it is now? 4 years, by the way. Would you say that what it has changed a lot from what you had envisioned when you first started?
I would say it's better. This is going to sound silly, but a way that I describe it is when we first started, we combed stock photography, right? To try to find what we wanted. We tried to find all the stock photography of who did we want to reach out to? Who did we want to appeal to? And we found, it was hard, but we found enough pictures to sort of capture the vision of what Adventurous Women was. And if you look at Adventurous Women now, whether it's the website, whether it's our social media, those are all adventurous women. We don't use stock photography anymore. The women that you see are adventurous women. And that to me is something that I'm super proud of. And I think that's super exciting to see that when you kind of put it out there, who we want to join us and that we're going to welcome you and that you're going to be comfortable there, we mean it. And I think talk about stories. That's another thing that we hear a lot is, and our alumni will say, or one of our hashtags is come as you are. Come as you are. Don't put this off for 2 years because you feel like you need to do all these things. Come as you are and enjoy the outdoors. We've got you. And a lot of our participants and alumni, that's one of the things that they'll say is Saveria means it. It's not just a fancy tagline. When she says, come as you are, you're going to have a great time and you're going to be welcomed. And, So I think that for me, was the one thing that I'm super proud of, is that having that vision of what we create. And every time we have a weekend, it's that reminder, this is why I do what I do, because it changes lives.
Let's take a quick message break and hear from the folks that help make this show possible. That is plenty of that for now. Let's get back into the episode. What can someone expect at one of your adventures?
Yeah. So generally our weekends will start, with an evening with some sort of like little welcome meetup introductions. Seems, very sort of nondescript, but we all sort of like kick off the weekend with some sort of little get together. And then depending on the weekend, so for instance, our June event, our summer escape that's coming up here in Bend, it's kind of like our signature, like our fun one. So you create your own schedule at our Bend event in June. So you get to choose so it's kind of challenge by choice. So we offer all the things in June. So we offer, and it's mostly intro level. So there's no prior experience needed to come and try the things. So we do rock climbing, mountain biking, paddle boarding, kayaking, caving, hiking, fly fishing, yoga, outdoor skills, goal setting workshops, inner outer journey, map and compass, all things that are hopefully going to empower you outdoors. So what you're going to, and we provide all the food, we provide all the gear, we provide all the equipment. We generally provide great swag bags that have stuff you can use for the weekend. So literally what women can expect is that they just need to show up. Like they really just need to get there. And then we got you. Like you don't need to go buy a whole new wardrobe. You don't need to like do anything fancy. We just want you to show up and just trust us that like, let's go through this experience. Some of our other events are a little bit more singular focus. So we have a women in whitewater weekend. Like that's going to be, it's all about glamping, doing whitewater. We just finished our winter escape, which was focused mostly on Nordic skiing. So we had an afternoon, or we had a morning on groomed trails, kind of getting used to what cross-country skiing was. And then the second morning we went out and did backcountry touring. So, fresh powder, off trail, kind of experiencing what that other side of Nordic skiing can look like. And the afternoons of both days, we had volunteers, female volunteers from Deschutes County Search and Rescue come and talk about being safe in the outdoors, things you should think about, what you should have in your pack, like kind of skills that you should use while adventuring in winter. And then we had a sauna trailer show up where we did like this beautiful, wood-fired sauna trailer, and we cold plunged into a frozen lake, which was amazing. So it's a combination of adventure and pushing yourself maybe outside of your limits, learning really cool skills to help you on your outdoor journey. And then there's also this like self-care element of just relaxing and having fun and connection and great food. Yeah, beautiful destinations, all the things.
Sounds like AdventurUs is in a place that you're proud of, and a place that you're, I don't know, happy with, in the sense of like the direction it's going and the momentum it's gaining. How does Ladies Who Launch come into play? Can you tell us about like what that support means and what's the kind of the nature of that relationship?
Absolutely. So I forgot how they came on my radar, but I think, I think of following their newsletter. And it's interesting because I think as an entrepreneur, and like, you're just so focused on like the day-to-day, just like getting stuff done, right? You're just so focused on like just doing the job, getting it done, planning the events, trying to make it work. And so when I stepped out and decided to apply for the Ladies Who Launch program, it was like, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a business. Like, like I kind of fit the requirements to apply for the program. And I did not really knowing what would come of it. And I have to say, for me, it was really validating that this isn't just a hobby, or this isn't just, like a cute idea, that to have somebody from the outside look in and say, this business has potential and we want to support this entrepreneur, and we know the struggles that you're going through, and and we can help, right? And we can like help support this because we want you to succeed. I think that's something that for me has meant the world, to have somebody out on the outside looking in and saying, what you do is really cool and we want to help you succeed, and we know the challenges that you're facing, and we want to help you with those challenges so that you can continue to be successful and continue to have the impact and continue to grow. And so, and Lady Who's Launched, we have monthly webinars on all sort of different like business growth areas. The grant has been incredibly helpful, just sort of with, helping sort of invest in the business in ways that I might not otherwise, because like, I shouldn't be spending money on X, or I shouldn't be spending money on this, but like, it's been incredibly helpful for that. Yeah. And just having a support network and just being so inspired by the other women in the program too, and sort of hearing their challenges. My business is a little different than some of the other ones. A lot of them are more consumer good programs or businesses that are selling, specific products, whereas I'm selling a product, but it's a little different. So that's been like it's been interesting because I've learned a lot just about business from another perspective as well. But yeah, no, but Ladies Who Launch, for any entrepreneurs who are out there, or women entrepreneurs, I would highly recommend it. Putting your name in the hat.
Fantastic. No, this is really cool. I'm learning a lot, and if you're ready for it, we can jump into rapid fire.
Oh, okay.
First one that I would love to ask is, what are you most curious about right now outside of growing your business?
What am I most curious about? I'm curious about travel. I'm excited to travel more, and I'm curious about how the world is opening up or not reopening up, and yeah, curious to see where adventure is taking people.
Proudest achievement, I'm going to say this, outside of AdventurUs.
Oh, because I literally was going to say AdventurUs Women. Like, it is my heart.
Yes.
It is definitely, it is the thing I am. And I know that sounds like cheesy, but it's literally the thing I am absolutely the most proud of. But achievement outside of that,
let's say that's number one. What's number two?
Yeah. Number two is finishing 3 Ironmans. Not fast, but finishing 3.
Hey, if you finish them, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how fast. That's So, athletics partner with Ironman. And so a lot of folks find us through that. So it is, I've only done a half myself.
Half is the perfect length.
Is it?
Half is the perfect length. Yeah, it really is. It is. It is the perfect length.
Do you do triathlons anymore?
No. I got into the outdoors and didn't look back.
Too much fun to be out there on your own terms.
Yeah.
Biggest goal not yet achieved.
Biggest goal not yet achieved. That's a good one. Oh gosh, biggest goal not yet achieved. so sounds so bad. To be successful enough to hire employees. Or maybe pay myself. I'm not sure yet. Either way. No, like from a business perspective, I would say, something along those lines. But biggest goal not yet achieved. I think there's more adventure out there for me. So I think just continuing, especially as I get older, to keep discovering and rediscovering what adventure is and like redefining what those goals are.
And on that journey, I actually will just throw this one in there. What do you think one of your biggest strengths is as an entrepreneur and as someone, a trailblazer? We're talking about the beer, and also just as someone living without compromise. What do you think one of your biggest strengths are? I
would like to say that I'm a real person. I believe in like kindness and humanity, and so I think one of my strengths is that I put my heart into things, and I think it shows. And so, whether you meet me in the coffee shop or whether you meet me as leading the event or as a CEO of the company, I'm still the same person. And I genuinely love people and care about people. Like, yeah. So I'd say that's what I'd say. Genuine heartfeltness. And you get what you see.
Yeah, I love
you get
that.
What you see.
There's not enough of that in going around. Is there a hobby that you have that maybe folks don't realize you're into it?
I love paddleboarding with my dog. It's my favorite. I have a little adventure pup. So I suppose if you follow me on social media, she and I pop up eventually. But yeah, I just love the quietness of it. Let me be clear. I like relatively flat water stand-up paddleboarding. I'm not like an ocean paddleboarder. I like lakes and lazy rivers. I think it's my most therapeutic time outdoors.
Awesome. So what's a daily habit you stick to that helps you stay on this journey? As you build AdventurUs.
Multiple cups of coffee every morning. Like that is, I would love to have some like really like, I wake up and I meditate and I do my yoga routine and I journal. No, I pound 3 cups of coffee minimum and then, go from there.
I think that's the only thing that I do consistently as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Last 2 questions and we'll wrap up. Favorite athletic brewing beer?
Okay, so I haven't tried the Trailblazer yet, which just showed up, so I'm super excited.
Yep.
But I usually go Upside Down, so that's one that I usually go to. Or I really like your stout. when I'm in the mood for a stout.
All Out.
Yep, the All Out.
Oh yeah, that one's fantastic. That's my dad's favorite. So yeah, two ends of the spectrum there for you.
I know. So it depends on the mood, right? Because like stouts are more like wintry and like a little, a little heavier and but the more the Pilsnery is post paddle, whatever.
Hot day, sweating. I'll go with that one upside down too. I believe, don't quote me here either. I think that's the first one we ever made, first beer. So on every can of beer, it says brew without compromise. But we believe when pursuing something unique, pursuing something new, or just striking out on your own, being a trailblazer, it means not just, brewing without compromise or, building a company without compromise. You have to live this way. What does it mean to you to live without compromise?
Following your heart. I think following your heart and being kind to those around you on your journey. Those are words I will never compromise.
First of all, thank you so much for listening. It means the world to us that you choose to listen to this show. If you'd like to help us further, you can leave a review on iTunes, share us with your friends, your family. It goes a long way to growing the show. You can also support us financially through patreon.com/adventuresportspodcast. Link is in the show notes. And also, if you have an idea of who could be a good guest for the show, we're always looking for people to tell their story about the outdoors or adventure. So if you know someone, please reach out. Email us at info@adventuresportspodcast.com. And until then, get out there and have some fun.